think. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gus
Good
Cantwell. I'm the Rhode Island College Alumni Engagement Coordinator. I'd like to welcome you all to this afternoon's webinar. This summer, the Alumni Office has been running a virtual summer series of webinars and workshops for alumni of the college. The pandemic has offered us an opportunity to provide some new and exciting content for everybody in the RIC Alumni Network. And we're very excited that all of you have decided to take advantage of this today. Today, I'm very excited to introduce Samantha Sandland for today's Mental Health Action Management webinar. Brief introduction to Samantha. Samantha is an LICSW and a NASM certified personal trainer. She's an independent clinical social worker. She owns and operates Chance Psychological Services, LLC, which is a Rhode Island-based agency that provides mental health and personal training services in both individual and group settings. In addition, Samantha also provides seminars on a variety of wellness topics, and she has over 10 years of experience in the field working with a wide range of clientele. During this webinar, we're going to ask that everyone please be muted. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout, so I'll be happy to send questions Samantha's way during, and then after we will have some time for Q&A, at which point you're more than welcome to unmute and speak to her directly. I will also be having this recorded, so this will be available online after this ends, hopefully by the beginning of next week, if you're looking to go back and view it again, or sending it to your colleagues or someone else who may be interested. And with that said, I am very excited to turn it over to Samantha.
Hi, thank you, Gus. Thanks for the introduction. I'm glad all of you made it today. I hope you get something out of it. So I am just going to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Cool. All right. So first off, I want to talk to you a little bit about why this is an important topic for me. I've been working in the mental health field for a really long time. I also worked in the education field for a little while. And one thing I learned is I often found myself giving to others and not finding a lot of time to give to myself. So I created a curriculum, one, to initially help me, but then also to help educators, social workers, speech therapists, business managers, and anyone who is wanting to improve either their work-life balance or just their emotional well-being. So with that being said, let's roll. So the agenda today is we are going to talk about the stress response. We are going to talk about relaxation. We are going to do a relaxation activity. We are then going to talk about wellness domains. Then we're going to talk about COVID and the impacts that it may or may not have had on you and your wellness. And then we are going to create a wellness goal. So first up, we are going to ask a poll question. Gus, do you mind helping me out with the poll question?
I'm going to launch a poll that'll pop up on folks' screens. I'll give about 20 seconds for you to provide your answer.
Nope.
Oh, sorry, is that the wrong one?
Yeah. Oh. Gus, if you don't mind, do you mind if I do the poll?
Sure.
Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys and ladies. All right. All right, so have you noticed your stress response has increased since COVID began? Did the poll go out, Gus?
Yes.
Okay. I just can't see it anymore.
Oh, sure, that's fine. I'll give a few more seconds and I can end it and I'll let you know the results. Okay, about 30 seconds. I'll end it now. It looks like we have an even split, 50-50 between yes and somewhat. Nobody said no.
Okay. And through this training, I do want you to think about what that looks like. What have you noticed? that's going on in your body, or what have you noticed you have stopped doing? For some people, that may be, you know, I stopped exercising, I stopped socializing. So I just want you to think about that while we go in. So now we're going to go over what a stress response is. So we have a little part of our brain called the amygdala. It's about the size of a pea, and it's right in the back, right in the brainstem. And what happens when that is activated is that we have an increase of, you know, the fight or flight response. So we have an increased heart rate, increased blood pressure. Our digestive system slows down, and cortisol, adrenaline also increases. There are also some other things that happen to your body, like your eyes dilate. And so all this was created for our ancestors to fight off saber-toothed tigers, or, you know, other people. And so even though we have that part of our brain right now, we don't need to be afraid necessarily of a saber-toothed tiger. But in modern day, we are finding stressors that are activating our nervous system or our fight or flight response much more regularly. In the chat feature, I just want you to share kind of if you're noticing you're being activated more so than prior to COVID, and what that looks like. And then Gus, if you can just sort of share some of the, and if you need any questions, feel free to ask a question in there too.
Just giving folks a few more seconds to start responding.
Have you noticed your heart rate increase, your blood pressure?
No responses yet. We might have a quiet group this afternoon.
Okay.
Maybe folks are eating.
That's totally
Hope we
fine.
have a couple coming in now. One person said for sure noticing this. Weight gain, slowed digestive system, perhaps.
All right. And so I want you, when you're noticing those things, to tell yourself that this is your body's way of telling you that you will be able to get through it. So when our ancestors were walking and a saber-toothed tiger came, there was a fight or flight response. And that was their body's way of saying that they're going to overcome it. So even though it may feel uncomfortable and it's giving some negative side effects, it is a very helpful tool. And I just want you to remember that it's your body's way of saying that you can handle this. Any questions, comments?
There were a couple other responses that came in, just so you know. Notice decrease in sleep and good sleep. Mind is always racing. Weight gain as well, sometimes quick to lose patience.
Yep. Okay. And now I'm going to talk about the relaxation response. So we have a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight response. And the only way that we can activate our parasympathetic nervous system is through the relaxation response. So I want you to think about this as your off switch. This is the switch of telling your body, I'm okay. For example, yesterday, I'll give you a personal example. Yesterday, I got an email from work. It was after hours. And so I became very activated. And I had to do some relaxation strategies in order to tell myself I'm okay. Now, I'm a human and I'm not perfect. And even though I'm trained in this, I have many days where I let my stress response take over. So I'm really, truly owning that. But I do think it is important for us to all remember that we have the ability to, off switch. And so what happens when the parasympathetic, the relaxation response happens, it calms your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your digestive system goes back to normal. Anyone want to share what they do to relax? I know it's really hard during COVID too to figure out what to do. So I'm just curious on.
One person said go for a hike or write.
Good. Sorry.
Evening walks with my pup.
Oh, your pup. I want a pup.
Take a walk because while walking, I know I cannot do anything else. I find I have to leave the house, find a quiet spot for a few minutes.
Cool.
Using headspace and walking.
Oh, awesome. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about a particular relaxation response. Mainly it's our breath. So our breath, when we inhale and exhale, we send a message to our body that we are okay. So I'm going to go over one particular relaxation response. I'm going to show you what it is, and then I'm going to have you try it. Okay. So this is called 4-7-8 breathing. Has anyone done 4-7-8 breathing before?
Gotten a couple of yeses and a no.
Okay. All right. So 4-7-8 breathing, it's very hard in the beginning, at least it was for me, because I was fixating on the numbers. And so I'm going to model for you what it looks like. And then I'm going to give you some time and space to be able to do it yourself. And so the most important part is you want to breathe in enough air in the 4 seconds to be able to hold for 7 and breathe out for 8. The second most important thing is when you are breathing out, I want you to pretend that your mouth is like the tip of a balloon. So you just want a little bit of air to come out. So I'm going to show it for you now. So I'm going to breathe in for 4. Hold for 7. Out for 8. Again. Wow, that feels very relaxing for me. So it is important for you to do that 4 times and try to find a space that there isn't a lot of technology. When you do it, I would recommend doing it 2 times a day. Typically, I do it when I first wake up and when I go to bed. But I'm going to give you guys time and space to try it out again. But before that, are there any questions about the activity? And feel free to not do it.
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. Now, if you haven't began, I do want you to begin, and I'm going to have you count for yourself. So remember, it's 4-7-8. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8, and we'll give you a little bit to do that. Enjoy. All right, I don't want to cut anybody off. So if I did, I do apologize. In the chat feature, can you just share if you noticed anything different in your body from completing this activity? And then Gus, if you don't mind sharing.
One person said, my shoulders are more relaxed. Another person said, mine slowed a bit. Jaw unclenched.
Cool.
Much more relaxed, can feel the body loosen right up. Much more relaxed.
Awesome. And so I do want to make sure that if you aren't feeling relaxed, you aren't doing anything wrong. Sometimes it can take a while for us to be able to feel the relaxation response kick in. And, you know, this isn't a magic cure-all. It's not going to take away all the stress of the world, but it's just a gift you can give yourself of a little millisecond, and sometimes for me, it's a millisecond of relaxation. So thank you for participating in the activity with me. I hope you remember it and get something out of it. All right. All right, so the next poll question I will put up, Gus, I think. Well, there it is. The poll question was going to be, how many dimensions or domains of wellness does SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Administration, say there are when we think of wellness? So the answer is 8, plot twist. And I want to kind of point out, and I want you guys to think around what domain it is that I am pointing to. So we're going to do this one. What domain, if you had a guess?
One person said physical.
Correct. Woohoo! Good for you. All right. Next one. Guess this one, this blue one right here.
Someone said financial.
Yep. This yellow one.
One person said we have a couple cognitives and a couple people saying mental.
Great. So cognitive or intellectual, mental as well, but they label it as intellectual. Now this one's a big one during COVID. What is this one?
Someone said work.
Yep, occupational.
Career.
Yep, occupational. All right, this one.
Person said care for self or self-care.
Emotional, yep, emotional, good. Any guesses on this yellow one?
Someone said communication.
Perfect, yep, social. What about?
Someone said relationships as well.
Yep. This one's a little difficult. This one I always forget about.
Someone said gratitude. Growth.
Okay. It's environmental. So your environment, such as your room, your car, the space that you create for yourself for work, for play. And what one didn't we do? Did we not do purple? What is purple?
Someone said helping. Another said health.
Yep.
Social.
Yep.
Community.
Perfect. All right. Awesome. You guys did a really, really, really good job. So here are the 8 domains. We got environmental. You guys got intellectual, physical, occupational, spiritual, social, financial. So now, even though SAMHSA breaks these up into 8 domains, I know that occupational wellness is going to impact my emotional wellness, my social wellness. So they're all really interconnected. It's just really important for us to look at wellness in a bigger sphere, because most times people just think it's physical, where occupational health is something that plays a huge role in our overall wellness as well. Did any of these stand out to you as a surprise? Like you didn't think about that when you think about wellness?
A couple people have said no.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so now we are going to do, hopefully, Gus, we can do this poll. I don't know why mine's not letting me. I apologize.
I can try to pull it up.
Okay.
Okay. I will launch another poll here.
Yes, perfect. That's exactly the one. Thank you.
I'll give folks about 20, 30 seconds to answer this one. I'm gonna give it a little more time. I think it's because there's a lot of options to pick from.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Couple more seconds. All right. We had 4 pairs, actually. We had 2 people say emotional, social, occupational, and physical.
Okay. Okay.
One person in the chat said I wanted to click more than one.
Yes, yes. And so I was hesitant to put this on there because I didn't want people to think that if they're picking one, that means that the others were fine. So feel free to kind of reflect right now around which ones have been impacted negatively. And then we will go to the next activity. All right, so now we are going to enter some wellness action planning. But I want to make sure that we are all thinking strength-based. So there are 2 doors with wellness. One door is a place where you're going to critique everything that you're doing incorrectly. So that's the door where you'll say, well, I don't walk anymore. I'm just so lazy. And, you know, I've gained weight and here's everything that I'm doing poorly, right? We as humans tend to go that way, myself included. And so there's a second door, which we're going to enter right now, where we discuss what we already do, and then we discuss what more we can add. Okay, so that's really, really important. So if someone comes into my office and they say, Sam, I want to quit smoking. That's a great wellness goal, right? That's in the physical wellness goal. But when you are saying, I want to stop something, your brain will focus on that said topic. So in order to do that, we may have to play around with some of you guys' wellness goals because we want to add something to your life. We want to phrase it very differently, okay? All right. So this is how the goal setting is set up. So what, like I said before, what can you add to your life? So we're going to break this down line by line. So I want each of you to just pick one domain that you want to focus on today. Even though there may be several that impact you, but keep in mind that if you focus on physical, that's going to also help your occupational, your emotional, your social. So I'll give people a few moments, and I don't know if people need the slide, but.
Would you mind just saying them again out loud? I'm going to type them into the chat as well.
Sure. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about going back. So it's physical, financial. Oh, wait, you mean the domains or what I said?
Yes, the domains. I'm just going to type them into the chat as well so folks can have a reminder.
Perfect. So physical, emotional, occupational, environmental, intellectual, social, spiritual, physical. Is there 8 there?
I have 7.
I always forget one. There's always a time I'm like, what is the 7th? Environmental, is it in there?
It is. I have occupational, social, physical, financial, environmental, intellectual, and spiritual.
Emotional?
Yes, that's not in there. I'll add that. Perfect.
All right, and I'm going to go back and forth in between my slides, but I just want you to focus on the first domain. So for example, this is mine, physical. So I'm picking the physical domain. And now I want you to think about what you are going to add. Okay, so for me, I added running. And you don't need to be specific yet. You're gonna write your own script for yourself and your own wellness. So what am I gonna be doing next week? I'm going to run. Any questions so far? It may get a little difficult if you have a different domain, so feel free in the chat feature to ask any questions you have. Are there any questions coming in, Gus?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. All right. So now you are going to say how many times you are going to do it. That's important because opposed to setting a goal where you're like, I'm going to run more. It's not specific and it's not measurable. And so I said, I'm going to run 3 times this week. It's easier in the beginning to do week by week, and then you can monitor yourself the following week. So I said I'm going to do 3 times a week. So if I had, let's say, an emotional goal, what do I want to add to my emotional goal? I would like to add solitude. And how many times am I going to do this? I'm going to do that 5 times a week. And what is it? I'm going to go for a walk in nature. And so now, how long are you going to do it? I think I said mine for 10 minutes. All right, does anyone feel comfortable sharing their wellness goal?
person's typing in theirs right now. They're
Perfect.
going line by line though, so I'm gonna let her type them all out before I say it all.
Okay, awesome.
This person said domain's physical. What is exercise video? 3 times a week for 20 minutes.
Great, great.
Belief scale, they said 7. Another
Okay.
person said physical as well, working out 3 times a week, 30 minutes. I'm noticing a pattern between everybody.
Anyone not do a physical goal and they need a little help?
Someone else, right as you said that, did emotional.
Yep.
As their domain. What? They said writing / meditating. How
Right.
many times a week? 3. And for how long? 10 minutes.
Okay, awesome. And so a few of you did focus on the belief scale. So I want to explain what the belief scale is and why it's important with any wellness goal. So oftentimes when we are stressed, when we are activated, we feel the need to create these really intense goals, right? Like, I'm going to lose 15 pounds this month. I am going to do X, Y, and Z because we want to feel better. But when we really reflect on how confident we are in setting this goal, we may have a lower number. So it's important to set a goal that's at minimum a 7. So if you have a goal that you created and you're only confident at a 6, that's okay, but you want to change something up. So you can change one of the variables. You can change how long you do it, how often you do it. You do want it to be 7, 8. Once you get into the 9 or 10s, for the first few weeks, that's fine. But then I want you to challenge yourself a little bit and make it a little bit more difficult. Make sense? Does anyone set wellness goals and oftentimes when you look back on it, you had a belief scale of like 1 or 2 and you were trying to force it upon yourself? I know I have. Gus, I think you froze a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a couple people saying that yes, they have done that in the past.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any difficulty with this goal and want any help working through it? If you don't in this live seminar, you can always email me. I'll give you my contact information because it can be difficult to kind of create it at times. But I'll give someone a second if they need some hands-on help right now. And Gus, just let me know if anyone pops up.
Sure, not yet. I don't see any. I can let you know if one comes in a little bit.
Okay. All right. We are going to stay here. So we do have a little bit of extra time. So I do want to take some time to talk about occupational health. So a lot of us are working from home. A lot of us are really trying to figure out a balance between work life and home life. And so I want to talk about some strategies that I have learned for myself and I want to share with you. So, well, first of all, is anyone having difficulty separating their work and home life? I don't want to assume.
Getting a few yeses. Sometimes someone said my workday never ends.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the week.
Great. So One thing about working from home is our workday never ends and our home life never ends, right? We're in this kind of vicious cycle that feels like it's all blended together. So here are some strategies that may be of help. So one is in the morning, if you are used to traveling to your job, I suggest either you get in your car and drive around the block and park back in your driveway. That way it re-triggers your brain to let you know that you are at work. Even though it sounds really silly, your nervous system is really confused right now because there is no clear separation. So that's one strategy you can do. You can also, and I do this, is I say, okay, I'm starting the day today. Just so I'm able to acknowledge that my day has begun, because I don't have that environment to cue my brain and my nervous system that work started. And then the same thing at the end. You can say, and I close my computer and I say, all right, Champs is all done for the day. That has been helpful for me. But what I found is that I oftentimes want to check my email after I say I'm done with work. And I have to catch myself because I need to create that transitional space. Make sense? Did any of those strategies seem interesting to people, or does anyone else have any ideas on how they're able to separate work and home?
A few folks while you were talking actually kind of said exactly the issues you spoke to. One person said there's no enjoyment about coming home after a work day because we're here all day.
Yep.
And someone else agreed with that you can't just get away from the house now to go do something else. It's not as easy. And someone said that it's very hard not to check emails.
Yep. Yep. So I empathize with you guys. I'm in a similar situation, and it's just every day trying to be mindful. I do have a certain like 2x2 that is just for my work stuff. And I literally avoid that little 2x2 when I am at home. It's not always easy, but it's important for our brains to acknowledge that we don't need to be in fight or flight for work while we're at home, and vice versa. It's not easy, and it's not going to be perfect, but I do recommend shifting some environments, such as like maybe work from a coffee shop Mondays, or any other comments coming in, Gus?
Yeah, a few came in. One person said they go to the cow fields down the road on a drive after work and then go back home. One person said that they force themselves to shut off their work phone and put the computer out of sight. And someone else said that they've disconnected their work email so that they can't get to it at home. So home at least remains home.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, I know that I'm still challenged with it as a therapist when I have a lot of, clients in crisis. It's really hard for me to separate. So I just hope each of you find little baby steps that you can take along the way to just help your overall wellness. So just to recap, we discussed the stress response and the on switch. And with that, the takeaway being to try not to judge yourself and to tell yourself when you're feeling stressed, that your body is sending you a message that you can handle it. Implementing a relaxation response, it is more helpful to use the relaxation responses regularly, even when you're not activated, because then you'll be able to use them more successfully. So my favorite one is the 4-7-8 breathing. And like I said, I do that 2 times a day. I do that in the morning and at night. We reviewed SAMHSA's 8 domains of wellness, and we discussed CHAMPS 101 goal setting. There may be future trainings around more intensive goal setting strategies, but I hope that you guys got some takeaways, and if you can just share in the chat feature what one of your biggest takeaways was from the training. And then I'll go into any questions.
One person said that they love the breathing. While people are typing out any either comments or questions that they have, I do just want to take a second, to thank Samantha for her time this afternoon for that presentation. And also just to give folks a chance to type in the comments. I see some coming in. I just want to let everybody know that after this concludes later this afternoon, I'm going to be sending everyone here an email that's going to have a feedback form. If you wouldn't mind, we'd greatly appreciate, both for ourselves at Rhode Island College and for Samantha for her own personal feedback. If you could just spend a few minutes filling that out for us, that would be great. We'll also be including some of Samantha's contact information if you're interested in reaching out to talk with her a little bit more personally. And I'd also just like to let everyone know we do have 2 more upcoming virtual events in the next couple of weeks. We have a new and recent graduate Y2K trivia night that's going to be happening on Wednesday, August 19th. And our final summer series webinar is going to be Making Your Words Matter, and that's going to be on the evening of Thursday, August 24th. You can register for those directly through the RIC alumni page. We have an events tab. If you're interested in those and you're unable to find them or you're struggling, please feel free to reach directly out to us at the alumni office. We're happy to help you and get you registered if you're interested in attending those events. I will go back and let you know, Samantha, about a few of what people have said. One person said setting a goal. I probably wouldn't have done it on my own. Also loved the breathing. Another person enjoyed the breathing. One person said being aware of myself and creating goals and techniques to manage these things. A few folks enjoyed the 8 domains. Being able to recognize that setting a goal for one domain also means you need to acknowledge the impact on other domains.